Civil society groups under the umbrella The Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition met in Johannesburg to express their concern over the government's response to the crisis in the country, following the countrywide protest against the increase in cost of living that left a number of people dead and 78 injured. Speaking to the media in Johannesburg, the group appealed for urgent intervention by the international community, especially South Africa, which is home to millions of Zimbabwean economic migrants.
As Zimbabwe's current economic crisis continues, the scenes of the turmoil in recent weeks suggest that reviving the country's fortunes may still be a bigger task ahead. Many Zimbabweans are also concerned about the recent government crackdown on citizens after the countrywide protests.
The coalition is deeply concerned over the government of Zimbabwe's response to the crisis bedeviling the country, and we note with huge concern that the Zimbabwean government has declared war on its citizens.
Despite the worrying situation, a group of activists in Johannesburg called the Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition believes the way forward is for the Southern African Development Community, SADC, and the South African government to intervene.
The SADC leadership, which the Namibia as a country, they are the current SADC chair, to say, can they engage the president of Zimbabwe and advise him on the current situation, to say that this human rights violation cannot go on. The issue of talking about through the press statement, through the wedding, and through Twitter and through social media is not helping the situation on the ground.
President Cyril Ramaphosa responded to this and similar calls on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland.
We are involved in serious discussions to see how best any form of assistance can be made available to Zimbabwe. We have not yet reached conclusion, but the world that has imposed sanctions against Zimbabwe would be even more helpful if those sanctions were to be lifted, because then Zimbabwe's economy could then begin to recover.
35-year-old Pride Chikono is one of the alleged victims who recently fled the country after our government deployed the army and the police to the streets of the country. He narrates his ordeal.
Soldiers came on the 15th of January, on the night of the 15th January 2019, raided the place where I stay. They broke down the door of the room that I use after being my landlord showing them where I stay. My landlord was beaten up. Other teenagers also beaten up heavily, and were being asked where I was. My mom works in a rural area where she's a school teacher. She was also called and threatened by the military, asking them of my location. I then had to find ways, and with the help of colleagues, to cross the border and eventually end up in South Africa.
The economic meltdown in Zimbabwe has resulted in high levels of inflation and related economic challenges, which has seen many leaving the country for better lives elsewhere.
Keep the African continent united. This is the advice outgoing leader of the African Union has for its new head in 2019, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Speaking at Davos, Rwandan President Paul Kagame says that he is keen to see greater transformation of the African countries by them working together as a whole entity, thinking beyond what individual states want. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was also present on his part, praised Kagame's leadership, speaking of a big drive the South African government is embarking on to train young people from an early stage to spread the digital era.
The job carries a heavy responsibility of thinking beyond our own particular countries, but the whole continent of Africa, and how to keep the African continent united around these very important and positive and consequential themes to do with the transformation. The countries that are actually big, significantly both in economic terms and geographical terms.
We're soon going to be embarking on a massive drive to ensure that we train our young people. We've got almost, I would say, about 14 million young people in either primary schools as well as in colleges and universities. We want to spread the digital education through to all of them, and even ensure that on a progressive basis we give them these devices that are going to enable them to get better trained.
A Labour court in South Africa has ruled as unlawful the suspension of a teacher from a school in the Northwest Province for allegedly seating students based on their race. Elena Bakhuzen, who was suspended on January 10 after an image of white and black students seating in separate desks was shared online. The Labour court judge, Connie Prinsloo, found Ms. Bakhuzen had not been given a hearing before being suspended, therefore ruled that she could return to the school. In her defence, she said she was not the one who had sat the children. The image had been initially posted on a parent WhatsApp group. Selo Lahari, the Education Minister for the Northwest Province, said the school's explanation was that the learners were separated according to those who could understand Afrikaans and English. The picture sparked protests, leading to tense confrontations between white and black residents inside and outside the school premises.